Hey people, it's Nias talking. Now, this is a good complimentary article because I posted a while back about Nigeria opening up a new fertilizer plant. And now, in order to expand their industrial capacity, they are also opening a new oil refinery. This has been opened by Aliko Dangote, I think one of Africa's richest men. And this is a game changer because for anyone who's ever talked to Nigerians, despite it being an oil-rich country, there's huge queues at petrol stations because all the oil has to be refined abroad and then imported back. So this is from Africa.Business Insider. 5 interesting facts about Dangote's new oil refinery. Now more than ever, Africa needs to examine its options for reducing its energy expenses. Energy cost heavily influences the growth or decline of any given economy. Energy cost is a key determinant of inflation alongside the basic amenities like food, water, and other commodities, distinct and essential to different regions. For an economy to thrive, energy must be as cheap as possible. Unfortunately, this has hardly been the case in Africa for the past year. The ensuing conflict between Russia and Ukraine has brought about a substantial spike in the cost of energy globally. Needless to say, for a developing continent like Africa, the brunt of this crisis is being felt to extensive degrees as numerous countries on the continent for the past year have been dealing with some level of inflation. The inflation, while spurred in part by food hikes and other nuanced factors, is still majorly a result of the rising cost of energy that's plagued the entire planet. Africa hardly refines its own oil, despite its tremendous oil reserves, which in hindsight has caused a gargantuan deficit in its oil bottom line. Simply put, most oil-producing African countries, particularly sub-Saharan African countries, sell their crude to countries outside the continent for a specific amount, and then buy back said oil in a refined state for a similar amount. This in itself, as financially counterproductive as it gets. However, what makes things significantly worse is when external factors like war made the oil importation costs much more expensive, a plight which almost every African state suffered in the previous year. It is also disturbing that the problem will persist for the next 2 years, as numerous global economists have hinted at the possibility of a recession this year. With this in mind, the glaring solution to remedy this problem is to simply build refineries in Africa. Fortunately, this idea has been floating all across Africa for some time now. As recently as this week, Angola and Zambia established a trade relationship where Zambia would import oil from Angola once Angola is done with the construction of its refinery. Read the story here. That's just basically the hyperlink. In Nigeria, this conversation bears a striking resemblance as Africa's richest person, Dangote, has expressed interest in building a refinery in the country. He has touted this idea for a while, committed to initiating the project before the end of 2023. 5 things you need to know about Dangote's new oil refinery. Timeline. Commencement to the refinery's construction was meant to begin in 2022, but a few glitches placed the plan on hold. However, the project is set to begin this year, as the President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has committed to commissioning the Dangote oil refinery on the 24th of January. The project is set to be completed by 2026. Location. The architected project has already been touted as an African milestone should be realized. It is projected to be the largest vertically integrated petrochemical complex in the world. The refinery is going to be situated in Lagos, Nigeria, specifically the Lekki Free Zone, covering a land area of approximately 2,635 hectares, which according to the site is about 6 times the size of Victoria Island. The refinery would be able to produce 650,000 barrels per day, subsequently with initial rollout of 540,000 barrels per day. Also, the facility will produce 3 billion standard cubic feet of gas, 65 million liters of premium motor spirits petrol, 15 million liters of diesel, and 4 million metric tons of jet fuel each day, approximately 8 million tons of petroleum products annually. Objective. With the refinery's projected capacity, Dangote has noted that it would be in charge of Nigeria's entire oil supply, effectively eliminating the need for oil importation. However, the company also disclosed plans to produce a petroleum surplus intended for sale across the fellow African countries and perhaps other regions outside the continent, which would bring out an estimated $11 billion in petroleum products from Nigeria per year. Cost. For an ambitious project like this, the cost is expected to be hefty and said expectations not far off. Dangote oil refinery would cost a total of $19 billion to build. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. This is very good that Nigeria, as the African giant with the largest black population anywhere on the planet is building oil refineries, fertilizer plants, and is now becoming independent and taking more control of its resources and being able to take control of its destiny. If there is more economic autonomy, that means lower cost for Nigerians, a better standard of living, and greater prosperity for Nigerians, and also for greater Africa, for all Africans throughout Africa, and perhaps throughout the diaspora. And I've talked to a lot of the Diwani Black Americans who follow my channel. So for those of you who work in the oil and gas industry and engineering, metallurgy and stuff like that, this could be a good opportunity. I mean, I think it's mostly being built, but I'm sure. But from some of the other articles I was seeing, it said that it could produce up to 135,000 jobs per year. So there must be some jobs for skilled engineers and technologists to work in there. So anyway, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.